Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Good morning. Very early morning. That's right. I'm here. I was up at 3. I was actually up before that, but I was up for the 3:30 a.m. interview with Dr. Sophie, and it was on Sky News. Trevor Phillips. It was actually called Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips on Sky News. So I want to break that down for you. I want to talk about it. I want to give you my opinions, my thoughts. I want to get yours. And yeah, I'm just so glad you're here. Honk, honk, everyone. If you're new here, I'm Jen. If you've been with me a long time, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. And also, you might notice I'm very blonde. One of my friends said, Jen, you're mother of geese instead of mother of dragons, because I said I accidentally went a little bit Game of Thrones, but that's all right. Very blonde, very springy, ready to do this thing. Again, up watching this thing when it aired at 3:30 this morning. Excited to bring this to you. All right, let's get into this. So Jen is team Dr. Sophie. So in case you're like, Jen, what is going on? What are you talking about? Well, I'll show you. Of course, this is Dr. Sophie, last name Chandauka. I want to make sure that I got that on record because I'm never going to be able to say that. So I'm going to call her Dr. Sophie. Dr. Sophie, of course, is board chair of Sentebale. Now, the other people I'll be discussing, this is Trevor Phillips. He, of course, does the Sunday morning Sky News. So that's the interviewer, Trevor Phillips. And then the other person referenced is this gentleman right here. His name is spelled Iain Rawlinson. And I believe they referred to him as Ian. So he is a trustee and consultant to Sentebale. So I just wanted to show you so that way if I refer to one of these people, you'll know who I'm talking about. But the main person we're talking about, of course, is Dr. Sophie here. So right off the bat, so the interesting thing about, first of all, I'm Jen. I'm glad you're here. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that thumbs up. I really appreciate it very much. Okay. So this thing aired at 3:30 in the morning Eastern time, and I was up watching it and I was excited to do so. And it was juicy. It really was. The Sunday morning program usually lasts about an hour and a half. So I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to make me wait for this thing to air. You know what I mean? Like I figured they'd stall and air other things while pushing this to the back. No, they even said right off the bat, they're like, we're going to do this right now. So they jumped right into it, which I was very happy about. The whole segment itself, I meant to look at the time. I want to say it probably lasted 15 minutes. I'm ballparking there, something like that, but it was good. It was really good. I thought maybe it was 20. Dr. Sophie did a fantastic job. I'm even more firmly in Dr. Sophie's camp. I really am. I thought, she had a lot to say. And I got to say, Trevor Phillips, the interviewer, really went out of his way to, I think, cover CYA. Do you know that expression? Cover your, because you have to when dealing with those two, especially in a subject like this. You could tell everybody was a little bit on edge. So I'm going to give you my opinions of it. Again, I'm no expert, but these are my opinions at the time of the recording and how I understood things to be. And I say that because, again, they are very litigious on this stuff. So these are my opinions. Here we go. My opinion is Dr. Sophie did fantastic, even better than I would have expected. We had gotten some sound bites beforehand. She did even better. She really was. She was fantastic. She, of course, has been on the board for 6 years. She came back as the chair in 2023. Of course, we're talking about Sentebale as the charity. She said according to her, it's a focus on health, wealth, and climate resistance. And I wrote down, let's see, Lesotho is how you pronounce it. It's spelled Lesotho, Lesotho, but I made notes because I didn't want to mispronounce. So it's Lesotho is how they're pronouncing it, and as well as Botswana. And then, of course, it was founded by Prince Harry and Prince Seesaw. So, okay. Basically, the interviewer got into this, and pretty quickly, Dr. Sophie explained that. So he asked her, what do you think? And my notes are here, so I'm looking down. But he asked her, what do you think is going wrong? She said, basically, normally, I'm summarizing here, but normally I wouldn't want to discuss family business. Basically, she was hesitant to do so. But in this open forum, here we are. I'll do my best to be frank and disclose. But she said the first thing she did was open the annual reports and look at the board minutes she looked over the financials and the cost versus revenue, and immediately she goes into how many sponsors they've lost, from families to individuals, corporate sponsors, things like that. And she started to ask questions. She then says that it's uncomfortable to have conversations with Prince Harry in the room. So it was like right off the bat, okay, all right, Dr. Sophie, I'm in. You got my attention. Tell me more. Um, so they started referring to it as the risk of the charity, and she directly said that the risk of the charity, the number one risk, is the Duke of Sussex. So Harry himself is who she states is the number one risk to this charity. Um, the Here's the big thing that I just want to point out. Okay, let's get into this. In case you didn't see it, I'm going to hit some of the things she said, but here's my big takeaway from all this and the thing that I want to point out. Well, let me say this. They were the interviewer was very much covering his A and going over and over about how, not all the board agrees. So I'm going to say that they don't all agree with Dr. Sophie. All I can say is, from my opinion, from the things I observed, Dr. Sophie was ready to go. She said she has evidence of all this stuff. She directly names Prince Harry and did talk about Meghan Markle. Didn't say the name Meghan. I thought that was funny. Only called her the title, but I don't know. I felt like it was there's definitely no love lost there. Can't blame her. The most interesting takeaways that I found were that the host, Trevor Phillips, said, let's talk about the elephant in the room, okay? And talks about what's going on there. And she brings up people beholden to Harry, okay? And then it gets juicy and they get into, you know where I'm going with this, the polo match. Okay. So the host brings up the polo match and what went on there, because that's the one over here, over here, over here. I said at the time, you know what? I'm going to be Meghan about it and pat myself on the back, because I said at the time, because I was on a live stream when I saw it, and I said, the woman she's ordering around, I looked her up at the time, Dr. Sophie, and I said, she has more of a right to be on that stage than Meghan does. And sure enough, that's exactly what it was. Dr. Sophie goes into, okay, I have my notes here. I just want to get this right. So the plan was to go down to the polo match, okay? And there was no mention of Netflix at first. This is according to Dr. Sophie. The way she explained is that he didn't mention Netflix being there and filming this. Well, then all of a sudden, Prince Harry makes this request, and she's trying. Dr. Sophie's explaining, no, we can't change the venue. We can't film these people without consent. We can't make all these changes without seeking consent, and especially from like the property owners and sponsors of this event, things like that. So it was just thrown into complete chaos, it sounds like. And it became a commercial undertaking. And the thing that hit me over the head, and again, thank you, my friends behind the scenes who were bouncing this off me, like the thing that the elephant in the room for me is, we've been here. That's the same thing that the Queen, if I remember correctly, Her Majesty the late Queen, was saying, you can't mix the charity and the commercial side of things. Remember the Sussex Royal of it all and stuff? You can't be doing stuff like that. Harry and Meghan, they don't care. They'll do what they want to do. So it sounds like that's all I could think about with this. This is very much familiar. Like, oh my God, this is what they do. They throw things into chaos. And I got to say, allegedly, from what I could tell and the way Sophie explains it, the way I'm understanding is they throw things into chaos and expect everybody to jump too. And it just doesn't work like that. And it sounds like Dr. Sophie was being smart about it and saying, we can't do this. And then once she tried to do things the proper way and let the property owner, let the property owner know that this is going to be a commercial undertaking, that it was chaos, that there was disruption. And basically the way she explains is that people have been working on this for months, and then Prince Harry shows up and it's thrown into chaos because of this Netflix undertaking. And they were specifically asked if Meghan was going to attend, and according to Dr. Sophie, Meghan told them she was not gonna be attending. But then Dr. Sophie goes into not only did she let me show you this. Not only did she attend, we know what happens with over here, over here, over here, but she attended with a famous friend. So she kept talking about this famous friend. I was like, "Who's the famous friend?" I thought maybe Delphi, Nacho's wife, because she was there, and I know she's well known. She didn't say it, and I don't know, but the only famous friend I could find record of would be Serena Williams. And that's just interesting to me. I'm having to read in between the lines a little bit because I feel like Dr. Sophie had to be careful what she said. So, I'll just give you my opinion. When looking up the famous friend, this is the most famous friend I could find from that day. So I'm just wondering, I'm not accusing Serena of anything. I'm just saying it's interesting that that was brought up in this interview. Is that things were thrown into chaos. Meghan didn't tell anybody she was going to come. She showed up with a famous friend. So the wheels are turning. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't she tell anybody she was going to come? My guess, my opinion, my working hypothesis is because it's that ask for forgiveness rather than ask for permission. She can't tell them she's going to come because I'm sure Netflix knew, but she couldn't tell Sentebale because she would have been stopped from coming on that. I don't know how that works, but I would assume that that would have messed with her stage time. She couldn't have that. So she just didn't tell anybody. So it threw it into additional chaos. And that's what Dr. Sophie's talking about is the over here, over here, over here being ordered around. It became this whole, well, to quote Dr. Sophie, it was a problem with the choreography on stage. I thought Dr. Sophie handled that really well because, again, if you didn't see it, Meghan, in my opinion, seemed to be ordering Dr. Sophie around like a dog. Over here, over here, over here. And I just assumed the whole time it was so, and I still assume this, my assumption, my opinion, is that Meghan didn't want anybody to stand right next to Harry, especially this gorgeous Dr. Sophie, next to Harry. I assume it was something like that. But I think it's more than that. I think it was ordering around the head of the board. And again, I said at the time, I said, that woman has more of a right to be on stage than Meghan does. And sure enough, that's what it is. So I think it's a ego waving contest for Meghan. I think that she didn't tell people because she likes the chaos, and because then they couldn't tell her, no, don't come. If she just shows up, what are they going to do? And I just have this feeling that's what happened. I think she needed it to be not. I think she needed the element of surprise on her side to be able to have at the Meghan show. That's just my guess. That's my opinion. But something I started thinking about too is, do you remember the next day she was acting so weird? I remember this. It almost appeared like she was crying the next day. She's walking around like this with Delphi. Okay. And I even said at the time, I was like, something's going on, something's weird. And I just wonder, again, they threw this event into complete chaos. And here's the funny thing. Again, thank you, my friends behind the scenes, for helping me realize this. Like, this didn't even feature prominently from what I could tell in the Polo documentary. I watched part of that Polo documentary. Oh, remember, I was out on surgery for that thing, so I was looking for anything to watch. I even said, like, even if it's mediocre, I'll probably watch it because I'm out on surgery. What else am I going to do? It was so bad, I'd rather just stare at the wall. So I fully didn't watch it. I mean, I watched part of it, but I didn't watch the whole thing. So I don't know how much of this featured. I tried to look it up. From what I could tell, it wasn't much. Even if it was one out of, I think it was 6 episodes, that's not enough. None of it's enough to justify throwing this charity into chaos. That's the point I'm making, the big picture. They threw this charity event, in my opinion, it appears to be, they threw it into chaos for their own gain. This is them over and over again, Harry and Meghan, throwing it into chaos for their own personal gain, making it about themselves and Netflix and the Harry and Meghan show. Whereas it sounds like Dr. Sophie was focused on the charity itself. Imagine that. Um, what's crazy is after this, Dr. Sophie said before, she didn't really have a problem with Harry, but then um after the over here, over here, over here, Harry then basically he wanted Dr. Sophie to write a statement for what had happened, meaning he wanted her to the wham I know I'm hesitant, and you guys left me comments last time, "Oh, you're hesitating." It's because there's so many details to this, I don't wanna get it wrong, so I will give you my opinion, but, this is just based on what I understood Dr. Sophie to say, because, again, there was a lot of information really fast, so here's how I understood it, is that Meghan didn't tell anybody she was gonna show up, showed up anyway. Threw it into chaos. It was already chaos because Harry decided that he was gonna bring the Netflix crew, didn't tell people until very last minute after this event was planned. So you have to tell people that they're gonna be on camera and that it's now a commercial venture versus a charity event, that sort of thing. There's just to me, in my opinion, it sounds like Harry and Meghan just completely destroyed the event, and again, that seems to be their thing. I'm just stuck on this charity and commercial mix. Where have we seen that? Oh, yeah, we heard about that from the Queen telling them you can't do that, and I gotta say allegedly, but isn't that something that Archewell's been accused of as well? I don't know. Allegedly, right? Lots of murky stuff going on there, in my opinion. But, okay, so Dr. Sophie goes into how that looked on stage. Over here." That just bugged the crap out of me. I said at the time, Meghan was speaking to her like a dog. "Over here, come here, don't be on the carpet." It's just crazy. But Dr. Sophie said there was too many people on that stage. The choreography was all off because, again, Meghan didn't tell people she was coming, so it's thrown into chaos. So a lot of international press caught on to the chaos and the over here. And there was a lot of talk of Meghan because of this. Well, Dr. Sophie points out that she shouldn't have been there. And Prince Harry asked Dr. Sophie to issue some sort of statement and support the Duchess. I don't use her title usually, but I think it's important to point out this is how Sophie was referring to her because to me, that was her way of saying this one's wife. You know what I mean? Like, didn't call her Megan, especially now that Megan just wants to be called Megan. I think that's really funny. So I love Sophie. So if that's a dig, then I'm digging Sophie. Okay, I'm not digging Sophie. I like Sophie. Um, okay, so Dr. Sophie said, "No, I'm not gonna do that because I don't care about the Duchess." But, oh, I'm sorry, she said, "Not because I don't care about the Duchess, but because I knew what would happen if I did," meaning if I did put out the statement, okay? There's so much to that, I think, that was unsaid because she goes on to call it the Sussex machine. Okay, so he asks her, "What would have happened if you just simply said nothing's wrong? What would happen?" And she said that she'd receive even worse trolling. So again, it's to me, it's what Dr. Sophie is saying, but also what she's not saying. Even worse trolling and the Sussex machine, things like that. Again, I have to say my opinion. My opinion is she's been in the hell that a lot of us have been in because of Harry and Meghan rabid fan base, their mediocre mafia, whatever you want to call them. I feel like it's all part of that. So I wish she could speak up more about that. And I hope with due time she can and will speak up more about that. I feel like maybe this was just so much information she was trying to get across and mostly stick with the Sentebale thing. So maybe this wasn't the time for it, but I need to know more information about what that trolling is like, how long it's happened. Has she seen more of it? I wanna know details like that because, oh, we've been on the receiving end, and I think that, again, is gonna be Harry and Meghan's downfall, I really do, is because how they're not doing anything to stop it. Again, big picture here is they beat these drums of, the ist words that I always talk about, massage, race, things like that, and then they threaten to sue. They're very litigious, that's why I'm covering all my bases here, they're very litigious for people. So I think it's fantastic that this woman of color has brought up, these allegations, and they are allegations. I have to say that, but these allegations that sound pretty damning. And how are Harry and Meghan going to shut that down? Because she is a woman. So where's the misogyny? You know what I mean? Like, where's their they like to claim that. Where's the claim there? They like to call the ist words. She's a woman of color. Okay, how are you gonna what's gonna happen there? How's the squad gonna divide up over that? And then they like to be litigious. This woman is a lawyer. Dr. Sophie is a lawyer. I think that's fantastic. Good for her. I hope she, uses everything in her disposal to show everything that's gone on. So that's what I'll say about that. But can you imagine? So again, Dr. Sophie, just at face value, let's take what she's saying. Okay. So according to her, we saw she was spoken to terribly by Meghan. Meghan wasn't even supposed to be there, according to her. And shows up anyway, messes up the choreography of everything, makes it all about herself. And after Harry and Meghan both have messed up this event, and then they want Dr. Sophie to issue either an apology, it sounds like, or just a press release saying nothing's wrong. And Dr. Sophie wouldn't do that. That's what makes me respect and love Dr. Sophie even more, is that she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't cater to them that way. So good for her. Um, Again, I'm dying to know how the mediocre mafia are going to handle this. I can tell you from what I've read, how are they handling it? Well, they can't go the ist words that Harry and Meghan like to throw around. So instead, one of the stories I've seen, you may have seen it too going around, is that according to the sewer squad, the lemon rats, Dr. Sophie is in love with Harry. Make that make sense. It's the same thing I've been accused of. It's the same thing you've been accused of if you've been here with me for more than, I don't know, a couple weeks. I haven't seen it as much lately, but it's definitely something that I used to get in my comments. If you go back and read my sugar roasts or listen to my sugar roasts, I would point out how I always get you're jealous because you don't have a prince. You're mad that he didn't pick you and stuff. And I kept saying, no, 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 literally anybody else. No, definitely not it. But I just think that that's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the mediocre mafia. Sophie accuses Prince Harry of wanting the charity to fail. I thought that was really interesting as well. And the host did ask, why would that be? Why would he want that? And she said, to be honest, because it's the last resort for him. I was like, oh, love you, Dr. Sophie. Love you, Dr. Sophie. Last resort for him. And she said that basically he wants to eject her from the organization. So again, these are allegations according to Dr. Sophie, but that this went on for months. And for months, she went through, again, she's talking about these ist words and these bull accusations and harassment. She, according to her, has documentation that it went on at board meetings and members of the executive team. And she was getting all these messages and it sounds just awful. So again, really, come on, Sophie, let's hear it all. Release. I need to see the bullying allegations from the palace staff. I need to see more about this. I need to know exactly what we're dealing with here. I think this is going to be their downfall. I really do. I really do. The host clarifies and essentially is saying, so you're accusing the Duke of Sussex of being guilty of the bull stuff, the harass stuff, improper conduct in the charity. And Dr. Sophie is like, yeah, that. She says that at some point, it would have been last Tuesday, Prince Harry authorized the release of a damaging piece. So basically, this is the way I'm understanding this part, is Dr. Sophie's love is the charity Sentebale. She's a board member. She's head of the board. This is what she's trying to make sure that this Sentebale stays the focus. Whereas, in my opinion, it sounds like, of course, Harry and Meghan, all about Harry and Meghan, especially in this case, she's talking about Harry. She didn't talk too much about Meghan except for that polo match, but talked about Prince Harry and how he's damaging this charity, and that it's because of him that he authorized the release of this damaging piece. talking about how he stepped down and making this public is the way I'm understanding it. And again, she accuses them of, quote, unleashing the Sussex machine on her and the 540 employees. I want to know what that is. Now, when the host asked her to elaborate, she was talking about orchestrated press, which is so funny. Again, this is the hypocrisy. So he pretends to be afraid of the press and then unleashes the press on her. It's the ongoing thing with Harry and Meghan. You can't make this stuff up. They're just so full of themselves. But Dr. Sophie explains that the Sussex machine is in place to support Harry and Meghan's efforts. And she accused them of activating like newspapers and things against her and basically using the press to try to, it sounds like, make the Sentebale implode. If this is even kind of true, again, it points to them just being terrible, terrible people. I'm sorry, that's just what they are. Host asks about the problem with Prince Harry, and she says that basically, according to her, she's the whistleblower. And because she's a whistleblower, that that's where the harassment, the massage stuff, again, YouTube words, she accused Prince Harry of interfering with the investigation. I mean, again, I think this is, I need more. I need Dr. Sophie to keep talking because this is brilliant. And I think this would be his downfall. She accused him and the board of a cover up and that, she said the prince was involved. I was like, damn, that's fantastic. The host wanted to know if it stems from Prince Harry, like how that worked. And Dr. Sophie actually said Prince Harry is fantastic, that they had a great relationship. But then she goes on to her treatment and how the board, quite frankly, didn't treat her in the way they would have treated the prior chair, and goes into that. There's just a lot of stuff that she's accusing them of. And that Trevor ended up asking, do you think Sentebale has a chance without Prince Harry? And she says, yes, absolutely. That it's the people that are doing the work every day that are making this charity successful. And again, it's more hypocrisy from Harry and Meghan, the lazy effing grifters. I'm smiling like this. And the reason I'm saying it like this is because think about the themes throughout this thing. So we've heard, again, charity versus commercialism. We've heard that before with Harry and Meghan. The lack of work ethic. We've heard that, lazy effing grifters, throwing things into chaos. The entire book of Spare seemed to be them delighting off of chaos for everybody else. Their entire lives seem to be delighting off chaos off of everybody else. Tales of Meghan being a monster. Where have we heard that? Oh yeah, every book I've ever written. I'm tired. Every book I've ever read about Harry and Meghan, every book written about Harry and Meghan seems to back up those claims. If nothing else, look to, say it with me, revenge, right? I mean, it seems to be over and over about this. Anyway, so that is the brunt of the interview as I understood it. I understand that there was a lot to this, and I apologize. That's why I was looking so much at my notes, is because I don't want to get this wrong. I don't want to misquote anything or get what Dr. Sophie said wrong. But it's a lot of information to go over, especially at 4:00 in the morning. But I feel like, again, she did a fantastic job. I enjoyed it. At the time of this recording, that is still up. You never know with this stuff because I believe, what was it, after the Oprah interview, that thing disappeared. It's hard to find things like that. And I just wonder aloud if this will go in the way of disappearing as well. So again, if you're trying to find it, I'm stalling so I can pull up the exact name. It's called Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips. Sunday, the 30th of March, 2025, that it broke. So it is up at the time of this recording on Sky News if you want to watch it for yourself. And it's the first, oh gosh, how many minutes? Like 20 minutes of the show is that. And I'd say it's worth a watch. I would. I thought, if nothing else, you can see how fabulous Dr. Sophie is, and how the other gentleman there had backed her up, and how awful Harry and Meghan are. I say this every time they do something terrible like this, especially when their people go after people and you hear about bullying stuff. I say, how can anybody be team Harry and Meghan? How do you do that? And I ask that again here. How can anybody be team Harry and Meghan? There's just some real dumb folks out there. Luckily, it's not us. Oh, God, I just said folks. I say it like that because Meghan said that on her show. Guys, when I'm tired, apparently I revert to Meghan speak. But I'm going to leave this here. This is all breaking as I understood it right off the top of my head after watching it. I'm sure more information will come out, more opinions, more thoughts, more things will be caught. So I'll keep up to date as best I can. But that's going to do it for me. A huge thank you to my helpers behind the scenes for this. I sincerely appreciate you. I truly do. Thank you to everybody who let me know about this interview being up. And thank you. Can I say thank you to Chef Matt? He has been so lovely. So today I was going to put up the other part of the Chef Matt interview. It's really fun and really funny. I'm bumping it for this because this is what people are talking about. But in the next day or two, I should have up the next part of the Chef Matt interview. And he talks about Meghan's cooking. It's really fun and funny. And he's never mean. He's just a lot of fun. So I want you to check that out. Be sure to look for that. But as for now, I'm Jen. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know your thoughts on all of it. Let me know if you watched the interview. If not, let me know your thoughts on what you understood from all this. I'm still trying to understand all this. There's a lot there. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you thought of the mother of geese. If you like the blonde. If I made a huge mistake, let me know. I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for everything. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.